progeny, perspective, and the pursuit of the collective.
Enjoy this generic jingle. Someday we'll have our own.
I'm Aliya, your host, and this is Connective Collective, where guests come from all backgrounds and all levels of knowledge in family history, and we discover together. Before we meet, they send me one of their ancestors for me to do a deep dive on. I prepare a presentation, then we meet and go over the information in the hopes that it is the impetus they needed to get over the hump wherever they're at in their family history journey. They may already know lots about them, their family may have very little information on them, or it may be a roulette choice. Research done for these episodes is only done with free resources so that you can be empowered to start or re-pick up your journey as well. This podcast is for anyone, anywhere. We discover the good, the bad, but always the beauty. This is episode 8. 10-4, I've got a hostage situation in progress. Today's guest is a very busy lady, so she's gonna kind of pop in and out of the episode in terms of hearing her voice. I sent her the presentation and the slides and the information on her family to read on her own time, because she does know a lot about her family history and has some background, but is also a history teacher. All of the context for the audience, I wasn't gonna drag her through for sake of time, so I'm gonna kind of pop in and out to give you, the audience, more context that will follow along in this presentation. So it's going to be hopefully not too disjointed, but that is why there is some funky popping in and out. But let's be honest, you're used to that, okay? I do it every episode. This episode's just going to be extra poppy. I edit these episodes most of the time while subbing at my local high school, and I'm in a classroom today that sounds like there's a fish tank in it, and I can't figure out where the sound is coming from, so I'm really sorry. This voiceover is gonna have maybe some weird sounds in the background. If you can hear them, I'm sorry. If you can't, I'm just a crazy lady. Today we have
Michelle.
So I met Michelle in Huntsville, Texas, where we currently live, and we work for the youth at our congregation.
Awesome.
I am one of your advisors for the girls who are 12 to 18 years old. That's who we serve in our congregation.
Yeah, and we love it.
It's so fun.
Yeah, Ollie's a favorite, of course. Of course.
It's easy to be loved by those girls. You have regular classes now this year?
Yeah, so I just took a position full-time teaching 8th grade U.S. history.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so I taught a little bit before my kids were born, but I've just been able to be at home, which was awesome. I love that. When our youngest started going back to school, I started doing a little bit of part-time just at the elementary school where he's at, but my certification's for older kids, so kind of jumping back into something I haven't done in a long time, but it's been fun.
Wow. What were you doing before? It was like tutoring?
Yeah, so before I was just doing like small group intervention, tutoring stuff at
Okay.
the elementary school, just part-time. So yeah, this is a change.
So I just totally missed the memo that you have a completely new job.
No, you're good. You're good. It's been wild at the middle school a little bit, but it's been fun.
Fun. How are you? How's it going? I guess I won't ask you if you like it. How's it going?
It's good. I mean, it's different. I've got 106 students, so keeping up with all that can be challenging for sure. It's 5 class periods that I teach.
You also have 5 kids?
Yes.
5 classes and 5 children.
It's 5 kids. Yep.
Remind me what your husband does at Sam Houston.
He works in the residence life department, like student housing. He's in administration there. So I think his actual title is maybe like associate director of the residence life department, something like that. But he also works with planning and students and hiring. And
is he in school too?
Yes, he is finishing up his doctorate degree. So we'll just keep adding more things. But
yeah. My father did his PhD. He finished it when I was in high school, and they have 4 kids. There's 4 of us. I remember those days.
Yeah, it's kind of like a race, see who's going to graduate first, Kyle or our oldest. So we'll see.
Crazy, which her oldest are twins. That's why.
Yes.
Oldest.
Yep. Oldest, plural. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys were probably one of the first people that we really met in the congregation. So we really appreciated that.
It was super fun to get to know you. I know the gardeners, had kind of maybe touched base first and were like, hey, there's this new couple. You should get to know them. So,
Yeah, we
yeah.
we freaking love them too. They're fun. And it's fun because when he gets the chance, it's been a minute now because my husband's in the like last year now of his degree, and so it's kind of killing him. But
Right.
they used to play basketball a lot.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Kyle used to go do that too, like the lunchtime old man basketball at the
Yeah,
university.
it was fun. I went and watched a couple times. It gets intense.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been some injuries for sure.
Well, I'm so glad that you could come and be on the podcast, especially like Sundays. Sometimes people are like, oh, Sundays are so relaxing. I'm like, sometimes I think Sundays are my craziest.
Game day. Yeah.
They can
Sometimes
be so busy. So thank you for taking time to be with me today.
yeah, no, I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
But tell me, do you have German in you as well? What are your other
Yeah.
mixes?
I grew up hearing a lot of stories about German, family. My dad, his mother is 100% German.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was born in the States, born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but most of her older siblings were born in Germany. Her parents came to the United States, because of joining the church in Germany. They came to the States to be close, to gather with other members of the church. And then her father, so my great grandfather, was called to be a missionary for a German-speaking congregation in Wisconsin.
Excuse me, sorry.
Stayed there as a branch president there. So yeah, my grandma was born in Wisconsin. German was her first language.
Do you know what other mixes you have?
On my mom's side, her dad is 100% Danish. So yeah, I've got a lot of Denmark, a lot of Germany, and then I think just, some UK mixed in. I think that's kind of most of my
Your
ancestral.
mix, yeah. Have you ever done a DNA test?
Have, yeah.
What did it
Yeah,
say?
first, like when I first did it and checked it out, I was pretty excited because I like my top thing was German, and I was like, yes, it's kind of refined and changed a little bit. Now I think I'm mostly, English, UK, then
Oh,
German, a little bit of, Danish.
it's always fun to compare the DNA to the documentation that you find. So it's always like, all right,
Yes.
am I on track? I thought it was
Right.
a lot more German, but apparently not.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And like comparing it with my siblings, because some of them have taken tests and yeah, it's interesting.
Which is also interesting because you can get more or less percentages than your siblings
Grab bag.
because how DNA works. And I won't go into that science because I'm not going to be able to explain it very well. But between my husband and me, we both have very diverse mixes in our families, and you can see it in our physical traits. But it's interesting because that also it's in the DNA. Well,
Yeah.
obviously, it's in the DNA if it's in your physical traits, but someone can be more of one thing than another. So
Yeah, absolutely.
today we are focusing on your England line specifically. So I've got your little England flag, and then the family that came over and was a part of establishing the first 13 original colonies.
Yeah, so that has been a mystery, like my
Really?
forever. Yeah, I mean forever, forever. My dad spent decades trying to research his father's line. His mother's line we always knew, okay, Germany. But forever my dad never knew. He knew his grandfather's name, but he was never sure who his great grandfather was. And so he wrote letters to uncles, people in Texas. He had a large family living in Idaho, so he wasn't able to travel, but he tried to keep up his correspondence with some of his extended family in Texas, trying to get more clues.
And pre-internet.
Right. But yeah, but my sister got involved in genealogy, DNA research, and has kind of just recently kind of pieced some things together there. So that's been exciting.
One of your parts of your homework is to talk to your sister
Got
and
it.
double check my findings because I ran into, so I also work at the high school and she has her two daughters are at the high school. So I run in, well, actually, I don't necessarily run into them. They always find me, which makes my day. I'm pretty sure I was talking to Eliza.
It's hard sometimes. It's hard.
I used to, I think, especially spending girls' camp with them, I was like, oh yeah, I can totally tell them apart. And then I like have been gone so much this year that I'm like, dang
Yeah.
it, I've lost it.
Well, yeah, and like, the hair's kind of growing out for one of them. So now it's.
It was before girls' camp 2 years ago, but I was like, how do you were like, their voices are different. I think they totally look different. I'm like, of course you do. But I started to notice that the more time I spent around them. So it
Yeah.
was pretty quick and easy. And I've lost it again. I'm sorry, girls.
They're used
Um,
to it. They're
but
pretty good. Pretty good
It's
sports.
pretty, I know they're angels, but also that's still annoying. I'm pretty sure I was talking to Eliza, but she said that your sister was like the genealogist of the family. Because
Yeah.
I asked her what she knew of this line because I was like, hey, I actually just was working on your mom's episode. And she was like, wait, what? So we were talking. She was like, I don't know any. I was like, her sister does all the genealogy. I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
There's always one in the family.
Yeah, well, it's been really interesting. We're convinced, like at one point my sister was like, I think that you just like can't leave Texas until we figure out Dad's line. God sent you to Texas to figure this out because we there wasn't really a lot to go on. My dad, his father, Jack Moon, born and raised in Gilmer, Texas, but during Great Depression era type stuff. You know, he's got stories of going to Galveston and working for 25 cents a day unloading bananas, you know, off the docks and talking about how there'd just be a line of men just waiting, you know, and if somebody's slacking, like if someone's not moving fast enough, then the supervisor would be like, hey, you're out, next one in. People are just jumping to get any kind of work that they could. So Jack, I believe he became part of the CCC, and through that eventually found his way into Utah while he was there at a
What is the
base.
CCC?
Civilian Conservation Corps. It was a kind of a work program from the government during the Great Depression. Yeah, to generate money, get some jobs going for these young men. Lots of highway projects, lots of state park and national park projects and buildings, roads, things built by the CCC. Young,
Wow.
older, teenage, early 20s, you know, guys. He found his way in Utah through the CCC at I believe some kind of base maybe in the Ogden area. I gotta check. Sorry, Allison. My sister Allison's probably like, come on, Michelle.
You're
Anyway,
like, you got this.
and he ended up meeting my grandma there. My grandma was a member of the church. My grandpa was not. They met on a blind date, something, ended up falling in love, getting married.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, my grandpa never went back to Texas. So he just kind of like left Texas and ended up staying in Utah when he married my grandma. You know, he didn't really know a lot about his family history, and he ended up passing away in the 70s. My dad didn't really get a lot of information before he passed from his father, and I don't know. So my dad was trying to solve where was my great grandfather, where is my line. He became like really, really focused on that. I mean, at one point he was working with a genealogist in Utah and said like, just get me anybody with the last name of Moon in Georgia, because he was pretty sure that the line somehow was in Georgia. And so they ended up trying to do a lot of work and history kind of research on any kind of Moon that came from Georgia, Alabama, just based on the little clues that they could find on the records that they had.
And it looks like they found a lot.
Yeah, well, so they knew this little branch of Moons came to Texas. So when Kyle and I moved to Texas back in 2009, and my sister around the same time, she started finding, hey, Dad has first cousins, second cousins in Texas. We need to start contacting them. Like my dad didn't know any of his first cousins. You know, I never really even thought about myself having Texas roots until we came here and my sister started, you know, telling me all this stuff. Like grandpa was born and raised in Gilmer. You know, he passed away before I was born.
Which is East Dallas.
Right. Yeah. East Dallas. Yeah. East of Dallas. It's just above Tyler. Once Allison started feeding me this information, she started giving me names and phone numbers and had me call people up and see if we could go talk and visit. And we still keep in touch with a lot of my dad's family here in Texas. And
Fun.
my kids and I and Kyle, we went to visit a family that we'd made contact with that lived in Kerrville, not too far from San Antonio. She had done a ton of genealogy on her, on the Moon side as well, but ran into the same problem that we had, you know, couldn't get past who's the great grandfather for sure. And Allison convinced her to take a DNA test. And so she was able to kind of analyze that, maybe get a little more information there. Then we ended up moving to Huntsville. And sure enough, Allison finds like another relative near Galveston, Santa Fe,
Wow.
South Houston. Yeah. So Allison was like, you're just going to bounce around to wherever Dad's family is, you know, to find these answers. But
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. So this is great because first of all, you're a history teacher. So you already love history. So you can smack me around if this if I explain this stuff really poorly. And then Zenko is taking a drink of water.
nice. I'll join
Taking,
him.
yeah, so this has actually become like a trend. It's almost like every episode has become whenever Zenko takes a drink of water is when we do pop potion or puree.
Mm,
So what are you
nice.
drinking?
So I have my water bottle. It's got my little Idaho sticker on there.
Cute.
And if I had like really been thinking about it, I would have gotten cranberry juice because that was like my dad was very like health conscientious. So he was, you know, water drinker or sometimes some cranberry juice, grape juice. But yeah, he liked to extol the virtues of cranberry juice.
That's funny. I'm drinking Dr. Pepper. It's diet.
There we go.
But yes, I need a little caffeine pick me up. And I'm being very brave and not using a lid or a straw today. I was
And you
like,
got a white shirt. You have a white shirt on.
and I'm like bad. Like I can't even blame it on like the neurological issues I have now. My mom would like make me drink out of a sippy cup until I was 17.
Oh, that's
I'm just
hilarious.
I'm just a bad drinker. I don't know. So nobody watched me while
That's funny.
I was like a panic drink.
Yeah, how'd it go?
Went a little bit up here and then I gave up. Okay, so yes, really quick, jumping into that, your dad was very health conscious, from what I could tell from my stalking. You guys are super outdoor people. I feel like you're always camping, you're always doing cool outdoor stuff.
Yeah, we love it. We enjoy it. That's why I'm outside now. It's like this is
Like,
such a treat to be out here and not sweat to death
yeah,
just sitting outside. It's awesome.
we're end of October and it's finally under 80.
Yes, it is the weirdest thing coming from like growing up like in Idaho Halloween, where it's like some years it's snowing and you like hurry and unzip your snow coat to show people your costume, and then you come to Texas and sometimes you're just like sweating and so hot and
You're like, I
gross.
cannot wear a costume. Like, I will wear
Yeah.
something very, very light.
Yeah. But
Um,
sometimes Halloween can be magical here. So it's looking like we're gonna have a good one this year.
yeah, it does look like it's gonna be good. In stalking your family for more photos, I went through everyone in your family, like in your friends list that was a moon, and then your dad and mom, and then just like stalked as many people as I could that had public profiles.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you probably found a
Everyone
lot of good shots.
no, people were pretty private, but everyone, all the pictures that I could see was like mountain biking, dirt biking,
Yeah,
camping.
yeah. I mean, like my brothers, it's so funny because we enjoy outdoor stuff, but we're pretty mild. Like compared to my brothers,
I can compare to your brother.
we are so mild. We're still like car camping. We have kids, we're doing mild family outdoor stuff. And my brothers are like they're gonna go whitewater rafting and salmon every year and dirt biking and sand dunes and snowboarding and they're snowshoeing into these yurts in the mountains and yeah. So we're pretty
That's
mild
so
compared to them.
which is funny because compared to me, I'm like, I will go to girls' camp because I love my girls. And it's in a cabin.
Right?
Not a camper. We do love going outside, but man, camping's a whole other thing. So it was fun to go poke around. I'm like, yep, this is still that family because everyone's dirt biking. And then I'm like, oh, look, now they're dirt biking together. I was starting to
Right?
recognize faces.
Yeah, yeah, and the snowmobiles and yeah, Kyle and I are more of like the non-motorized outdoor people. There's a few like 12 kids. I've got 11 siblings. So some of
Wow.
us are like not outdoors. Some of us are okay, we'll do some hiking, maybe sprinkle in some camping, and then you have like my brothers who prefer to enjoy the outdoors in motorized fashions.
Extremely enjoy.
Right.
Every Ofrenda edition, I do reread this because we have consistent listeners, but then we also have people who will just pop in for this one episode.
Sure.
So I'll quickly read this. All of October is specifically Ofrenda edition. So not only is it going to be I have a guest on and we talk about an ancestor maybe they wanted to know more about, it's specifically going down the ancestral line of someone who has recently passed away. An altar de la ofrenda, or ofrenda, is a symbolic altar set up in homes during the Mexican holiday Dia de los Muertos to welcome and honor the spirits of deceased loved ones. It acts as a temporary home for the souls of the dead, decorated with their favorite foods, personal belongings, photos, candles, incense, and marigold flowers to guide their journey and celebrate their lives. Have you ever seen Coco?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I assume
That's
so. So Coco vibes.
eighth grade is the first year at Huntsville anyway, that they can start taking Spanish.
Oh,
I
fun.
have quite a few students who are taking Spanish, and the teacher there has had them they're doing this project where they're also making like their own little shoebox ofrendas. Like,
Oh,
so it's been really cool, and a lot of the students have been super creative. Yeah, they've got like like the little kind of altar with different and they have a picture of a loved one, a
mhm.
grandfather or great grandfather,
That
and
is
yeah,
so
they've got
awesome.
it's so cool. And they have like this little miniature, maybe they've drawn something on paper or they found a little, miniature apple or, different things that kind of represent their life and what they liked, their foods, belongings, different things. And then they all have like these little kind of fake little marigold petals like down at the floor. And it's been really really fun. They've been very interested in those.
Because again, my husband and I are both mixed. We try to focus in preparation for having children. We're focusing each holiday kind of more on one of our ethnicities. And
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
Halloween, we're doing like his Mexican side, which
That's
is
so
funny because
cool.
his
Yeah,
Mexican side is actually, we found out is pretty much just straight up native Texan.
got it.
So Texas, Mexico, pre-Texas and Mexico,
Yeah, yeah.
but very much so still the Mexican tradition of.
Hey, I mean, I lived in San Antonio for 3 years, loved it there. If I could claim any piece of that, I would.
Yeah,
It's
no,
awesome.
growing up, I used to be like, I wish it wasn't like weird for me to do an ofrenda because I love the concept, because I love family history. And I'm like,
Yeah.
married my husband. I was like, now I can make one.
Perfect. Yeah.
Not that it wouldn't be probably weird to do it, because it is such a beautiful tradition.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. The remembering.
I have a little mini ofrenda for your dad, and after we kind of go through what I do have on it, which is very limited, we'll also add some things to the ofrenda, and I will throw those little icons in as well.
That's awesome.
So
Thank you.
everything I've got on this ofrenda is just based off of the obituaries I saw.
That's so awesome. I love that.
And
That is very him.
I'll send you the all the slides too. So we'll do a little zoom in. So John Moon, did he have a middle name?
No, no, he
Okay,
didn't.
yeah. John Moon kind of sounds like a stage name. Like I feel like he should have been a jazz singer or something.
Oh man. That's funny.
So 1940 to 2025.
I mean, just a few days, a couple weeks shy of his 85th birthday.
He passed away super, super recently, August, September. So like after he died, I was like, oh, just in time for my thing. I'll give her a few weeks before I ask her to do my podcast. So I'll start down here at the bottom. Is this a mission photo, pre-mission photo?
If I've got the story right, Allison, again, I apologize to my sister, but I'm pretty sure. So my dad served as a missionary in 1960 for about 3 years, and he went to Uruguay, Montevideo. But at that time, the mission was quite large. So most of his time, I think, was actually in Argentina and
Oh, wow.
Salta, or maybe not Salta. No, I'm not. Anyway, yes, it was.
Argentina.
Yes, Argentina. Argentina. Most of his time was spent in Argentina. And at the end of his 3 years, there was a policy at the time where I don't know if it was airlines or church or both, but there was this kind of agreement where missionaries traveling home, as long as they were moving in the right direction, more or less, they could make as many stops as they wanted, take almost as much time as they wanted on their return trip home. Yeah, I know. Awesome, right?
That's so fun.
So he had some other mission companions that were also leaving at the same time. They went to like Brazil, I think they went to Ecuador, they went to Panama, just kind of hopped around different spots in South America. I think they made it back to Miami, Florida, like in time to watch a conference at the airport or something like that. He had started getting interested in his family history and knew that his dad didn't really remember a whole lot and wasn't really connected with his family anymore at that point. He stopped in Gilmer. I think that photo was taken in Gilmer on his way home from his mission, because after Miami, I think he made a stop in Dallas and
Just
went like,
slowly snaking his way home.
right. And, took advantage of that policy to the fullest, but went and visited his dad's family. And I think he was trying to, yeah, get some more family history details from his uncle there. He had an Uncle Gordon who was really good to him and knew a lot more about the family history than my grandpa did. So they took him to kind of go over some things. And he eventually made his way home to Salt Lake City. That picture, I'm pretty sure, is, yeah, right around the time when he was done with his mission.
For those of our viewers who aren't watching, it's just it looks like he would maybe have a name tag on. He looks like a young missionary, white shirt and tie, but it's a side profile, maybe on a porch.
Yeah, it looks like kind of an outdoor setting. Yeah.
Maybe it's an outdoor setting. I don't know, but he's reading a book. He owned a couple furniture stores, I guess. So I threw in a
Yeah.
couch just for fun.
Yeah. Nice.
But he loved books.
Man, yeah.
So I put some books on this couch. He loved to research things. Were there specific things that he liked to research, or he just was interested in learning about anything?
He loved, I mean, it's so funny because he was such an avid reader, but he did not like fiction very much. He wanted biographies, historical things. It was
Oh,
all
yeah.
nonfiction. He would go through books like you wouldn't believe. I mean, he worked long hours, long days. That was his way to unwind. He'd go up to his room, read a book.
The
No, yeah,
fat.
he did not tolerate fiction. It was so funny. It was like, because I love fiction, so I'd be like,
Yeah,
hey dad, like, oh, I just
this
read
is
this. And
good.
he was very just like matter of fact, like, no, that's a waste of time.
I don't, was he pretty good on a computer, like researching with like the internet now?
I mean, he was definitely better than many his age and his generation, right? He would call me up and need some help, maybe getting some names ready for a temple trip or something. He could do his own work, great. But my kids were going on a temple trip and he wanted them to take some names, for baptism trips. He'd be like, well, when's your next temple trip? Because I need to drop these names in the mail. And I'd be like, well, Dad, I can just, like I can, like you can send them to me or I can even
You
just log
could
on to your account and print
email.
those off. Like you don't need to mail them, but
Oh man, it's wild how much has changed in his lifetime
yes,
though.
yeah, absolutely.
I thought that this was a cute picture because he seemed to be very involved in church everything, and it's outside the church. And he
Yeah.
was a patriarch. How many years
Yeah.
was he a patriarch for?
3 or 4. Yeah, not too long.
So in our faith, we have congregations that are like wards, and that's like 100 to 200 people.
Yeah, 200-ish, sure.
And then there's 6 congregations in a stake.
I mean, I think that can
I
vary
think it's like
depending on the
6 minimum.
region. All I know is that when we first came to Huntsville, we were in the College Station stake and there were 17 units. It can vary depending on the
Yeah.
geography
So
and
huge
worship density.
geography. Yeah, it's a lot of people. And so basically the patriarch is over all those people to give a very special type of blessing. So it's a really big responsibility and honestly a lot of work just spiritually, mentally, so
Yeah.
oftentimes physically to prepare for those blessings. And so he did a great service for those last 3 years.
Well, and my mom too. It was a joint calling really because she
Yeah.
was, his scribe, and my mom is very uncomfortable with technology, so the thought of recording something and then transcribing it and making sure it's right, and that was
Oh
that,
no.
yeah, that was a big deal for her, but she did great.
The Lord uses us whether or not we think we're ready. And over here, I've got a little silly,
Yeah.
silly photo.
He could get silly with the grandkids for sure. He was a good sport with the grandkids.
This is a cute little photo of him with some stickers all over his face, and then there's some grandkids around him.
Yeah.
Over here, blocked out your mom's face because she's still alive, but I just thought this was a sweet photo.
That was right before he passed. You can tell he's not feeling 100%. Those were some rough days for sure. But that photo is super sweet to me because I took that photo. I happened to be there visiting and he was not feeling well. He was going downhill fast. And so Kyle was great. He sent me back as much as I could go and really encouraged me to spend as much time as I could while I was able to. But my dad was not able to go to church. He just couldn't physically. There were some brethren in the church, some men in the church who brought the sacrament to him, and that meant a lot to him. Even though he was just physically exhausted, he wanted to get dressed in his Sunday clothes. He wanted to be ready for that. So putting on his Sunday clothes wore him out. He went and sat down there with my mom, and I said, Dad, can I take a picture of you so I can show my kids how you're getting ready for church today? And he said, yeah, sure. So I took the picture, and then he said, wait, I want to hold your mother's hand. Take it again.
You mentioned that you're going to send this to your kids, and he was like, this is important. Oh, I love that. We'll go up here. He was a temple worker, and I found this little cutout of the Pocatello temple.
Yes, yes. When the Pocatello Temple was built, Blackfoot changed from Idle Falls to Pocatello. It was just a little bit closer. Got to continue doing that in Pocatello and just loved it. They had several friends that they had made working together in the temple come and visit him, and for sure. So I basically have like the best husband ever, right? So when driving to Blackfoot for the funeral, I had never gotten to go into the Pocatello Temple yet. I mean,
Oh,
we'd walked the grounds with the kids, and some of my kids had gone to do baptisms or things in the temple, but I hadn't been able to go inside yet. So we're driving like to Blackfoot to meet up with my family, get ready for the services that weekend. And Kyle was like, you know what, let's just make you an appointment. So we stopped and I went to the temple. It was so funny because as soon as I walked in, one of my dad's friends was right there at the welcome desk and recognized me. And so I start getting teary-eyed. And then I walk in, and of course, it's just so beautiful. And you just feel such a calm and sweet feeling and peace there. And I'm getting my clothing, getting things arranged. And someone that I have no idea who it is, I've never seen before in my life, comes right up to me and was like, are you a moon? Like they could just, I guess there's a strong family resemblance, but it was so funny because just being there with people that I know that they served with every week and that was such a big part of their lives. That was really sweet.
we are Kyle fans. That's so awesome. And I would say that this is an older photo of him, but let me pop up to this because you said the moon resemblance. This is your twins. This young man photo that I've got pulled up, this is literally copy and paste. Just put a blonde wig on him and this is your twin. They must have just seen your face and been like, that's a moon.
That's a moon. I got that a lot in high school, being one of 12, and we're all more or less 2 years apart-ish. All the teachers know all the moons, so it's like, oh, yep, you're the moon. Oh, yep,
Got
you're
a
the next
moon.
moon. You're a moon. Yep.
When I saw this, I didn't even have to look at, oh, which one is he? I was like,
There he
that
is.
one, that one, because that is your girls.
That's so funny.
But going back down here, I thought that this was, and this is all of your kids are around in this photo, but we've cropped it just to be him. But I thought this was such a gorgeous photo of you all.
Thank you. Yeah, that's in the backyard. That was the last photo that I have with him and my kids.
Beautiful photo. The sun just like kissing him. And then he was
Yeah, actually, I have a picture of him. This was at the end of our summer trip, right? Where we knew my kids and I and Kyle usually we all go every year to spend as much time as we can in Idaho, right? Because my parents don't travel anymore. Plus, who wants to be in Texas all summer when you can go spend a month in Idaho?
and you do like your
So,
nice hikes and stuff over there.
right? Yeah. So Kyle, every year he plans this road trip. We hit all these national parks, go hiking, camping. Then he drops us off in Idaho. We spend a few weeks with my family. He drives back and works here and sweats alone in Texas because
Oh
he's
gosh.
and then he comes back and we, do our road trip home. But at the end of this summer trip, we knew we didn't have the official diagnosis, but it was pretty clear something serious is going on. It's probably cancer. He knew. He was telling people like this.
He was feeling it, yeah.
Yeah, like this is not going to take long. So we took that picture with him and my kids. The last time my kids saw him was on his way from the hospital down to Huntsman Cancer Center in Salt Lake. And then we left like the next day back to Texas. But yeah, and then Kyle sent me back and I got to spend some time helping my siblings and my mom. And I mean, it was such a strange time because their house is just always full of people, always full of kids running around, always, everybody playing. It was a very unique time to just be at my parents' house with just my siblings there. That was really special time. It's a beautiful thing how things like this bring you closer together. It's such a heart-wrenching thing, but it's also so beautiful and sweet at the same time.
Yeah, especially when you've got such a confidence in the afterlife and the work that person has done. Like, I mean, your dad seemed very involved, obviously, in the temple. And so the preparation to go be with his ancestors again and his confidence in God's plan and the scriptures. It's like, it's so sad, but it's also, Mormons do have a funny rap of like, why are you so happy around your funerals?
Right. I know. It's very different.
When your dad passed away, I texted my mom because I was about the same age as your girls when her dad passed away. And I was like, Mom, my like dear friend, her dad just passed away. What's the best thing I could do? Because like, I don't know. I just have this, I think maybe too from having a dad that was always gone and deployed, or we would have like, emergencies or weird things happen. People would be like, oh, I'm so sorry. And like, I watch my mom struggling and like, there's some stuff we can actually, I'd have no shyness about asking you for help for. So
Yeah.
so I was like, what is the best way to like help my friend Michelle? And she was like, dinner. Also asking about him. So many people, they want to be like, I'm sorry your dad died, but all I want to do was talk about it. And I was like, no problem. I will ask her to be on my podcast.
Honestly, I know that you were like the no pressure and if you feel up to it, but I was really excited. I was really like, this is such a beautiful opportunity, such a wonderful opportunity to just kind of share stuff about him because it's so fresh and it's so at the forefront of like I want to remember all these things and I've been so focused on what he's meant to me in my life. It's great to just kind of be able to share that and open up about that.
Yeah.
And the dinner was amazing. The dinner was amazing. So thank you. Yeah, and all the travel back and forth, that was awesome.
It's such a busy time. And obviously you have your girls and I'm sure your other kids are also very capable of cooking for and fending for themselves if they needed to. But sometimes it's just nice to like sit down and be like, I didn't have to process any thoughts for this food to appear.
Yes. Yes. I mean,
I've been there.
that makes or breaks your week, like when you
Sometimes
just
it does, especially when you're hungry. It really
Yeah.
can. So your dad was a professional. Okay, this is so different because I know Idaho and Utah are different, but he was a seminary teacher also by profession. Is that a thing?
Yes, in Idaho, Utah, I think maybe parts of Arizona, California, I'm not sure. But for sure, at least where I was in Idaho growing up, there's such a large density of members there. When youth in the church reach high school age, there's a seminary program. For most of the world, that means you get up super early and you go have, scripture study class before school starts, right? That's what we're doing here with our kids.
6 a.m.
Yeah, so Jane and Liza, I think, are supposed to be at the seminary building by, or the church building by 6:15. And we thankfully have very patient, understanding seminary teachers. But my dad, he had the great opportunity and loved it of teaching seminary, yeah, as a profession, getting paid to be a seminary teacher.
Cool.
But there, it's like a full day. There's so many youth that are members of the church that take seminary that it is a full day
Full job.
job. Yeah. So it was awesome. He loved that. It didn't pay super well. And he and my, mom were having several children, so eventually he started kind of moving into other forms of making money. I mean, he graduated in business and was doing some business stuff, got to the point where he could see like, I don't know if I really want to keep doing this, kind of salesman, business type stuff. There's a lot of travel involved. If he had kind of gone on that path, he got in touch, I think, with some leaders that, from his mission and asked, hey, is this a possibility for me to kind of look into seminary teaching as a job? He was teaching early morning seminary in Colorado at the time and loved it, loved teaching, lucked out and was offered a full-time job where I went to high school because the seminary, the church can't have like a class in school, right? So just right across the street from the school building, the church owned that property and they
Right.
built like their own separate seminary building. As the high school student, you would just take, like it was an off period, a release time period. So you were able to leave campus, walk across the street, go to the seminary building, have your seminary class there, and then end of class, walk right back to the high school and resume your normal schedule. He got
Yeah.
to be the teachers there for I think about 10 years and loved it.
My mom is from Mesa, Arizona, and so she and all of her sisters, and then her sisters that stayed and raised their kids there, like my cousins, all did that. I think even when my grandpa passed away, I got credit for attending seminary over there. I just had the seminary teacher sign, and then I got my credit for going to seminary while I was gone. I
Oh,
was like,
that's
this is
awesome.
nice. 2 o'clock in the afternoon seminary? Oh, I love this.
Right? Yeah. Just like you were at the high school across the street, you were in a full class with desks, and it's really fun to be able to be there with a lot of other members of the church. But the experience here, I will say, having to sacrifice and wake up early and really commit to seminary when it's not easy, that brings a lot of blessings that I didn't realize before. My
Oh, yeah.
girls, like you have to be very, it
It's a certain
just
type of discipline you grow.
right. Well, and they also get a lot of questions and a lot of conversations with friends here that, because there are so few members, of the church here, in Idaho, everybody was a member, so we didn't really ever talk about church or religion at school. But here it's been a great experience for them to kind of have to learn about things and be able to talk about it with their friends. Yeah.
I've got this cute wedding. What was that? What are those called?
A little
Photo
photo
booth.
prop something. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was at my niece's wedding.
it was very
And they
cute.
did that at my parents' house again. My parents, I don't know if they purchased 10, 14 acres of land originally in the
Wow.
country, in the potato fields of Blackfoot, Idaho, and built a big house as big as they possibly could, with all these children. So I grew up with a massive front yard, backyard, pasture land,
So
potato
nice.
fields around. Yeah, it's beautiful. And
It's
my brother does a great job keeping up with the yard. That was my job as a teenager on the riding lawnmower, just mowing so much grass.
yeah, I bet. This was your
Yeah,
mom's birthday.
that was my mom's 80th birthday. They went out to dinner.
What was this?
So that was at my brother Adam's wedding. They had a very nice reception.
He's
His
in a
wife's
tux.
family, yes, his wife's family had a very nice reception after the wedding. It was in Salt Lake, the Joseph Smith Memorial Building, I think. And all my brothers and my dad all had tuxes, and it was just like the cutest thing ever, to see all my, because I have six brothers. The youngest one was in high school when Adam got married. It was really fun to see all them lined up in their tuxes.
It was your mom and your dad's profile pictures on Facebook.
Yes, my mom loves that picture.
It is
Yeah.
a very cute photo. And then this picture is a full family photo.
Yeah, when
And
he was growing up. Yeah, when he was a teenager.
yeah, I was gonna say it looks pre-mission and it's your daughter's faces.
He grew up in the Salt Lake area.
I didn't
Yeah,
know
he grew up in Salt Lake. He had two sisters and a brother. His two sisters were older than him, and they'd both passed already. And then he's got one younger brother still in the Salt Lake area. And he came and saw my dad before he passed when he was in the hospital there in Salt Lake, and then came to the funeral with some of his kids. And
What other things would maybe be on the Ofrenda? Like, did he have a favorite food or?
tennis for sure. He was an avid tennis player. I mean, like even until he started getting sick, he he was still playing tennis, I think weekly, like was a member of a gym in Idaho Falls, and he would play tennis as much as he could. Just, he loved it. Growing up in Salt Lake, he and his dad played like in father-son tennis tournaments. His dad was a really good tennis player. I think they even won some kind of titles in the state of Utah for, tennis, and he loved that. It was hard to know what to get for birthday or Christmas, but it was always like tennis balls or chocolate or a book. Those were like the go-tos.
I'll throw tennis and chocolate on here. I have his obituary here, but for time's sake, since you already know this, I'll read it and insert it.
John Moon, a devoted husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather, passed away peacefully on August 26, 2025, with his eternal companion Bonnie by his side and surrounded by family. He slipped through the veil after a brief but courageous battle with cancer. John was born on September 11, 1940, to Jack and Esther Moon. He was raised in Salt Lake City, Utah, and graduated from South High School. As a young man, he served faithfully in the Uruguay Montevideo mission, laboring in both Uruguay and Argentina. He met his sweetheart at a stake dance on August 26, 1964. The very next morning, John told his mother that he had met the girl he was going to marry. On January 15th, 1965, they were sealed in the Salt Lake Temple. John earned a BA in Business Management from the University of Utah. After a brief time in Colorado with Procter & Gamble, he chose to pursue a career in teaching seminary. He taught seminary for the next 10 years, 8 years at Blackfoot High School, and 2 years as principal of the Snake River High School Seminary. He cherished reconnecting with former students throughout his life. John also earned a master's degree from Brigham Young University. In 1977, he purchased Odell's Furniture, beginning a new chapter as a business owner. John was a devoted disciple of Jesus Christ, dedicated throughout his life to both learning and teaching the gospel. He faithfully served in many callings, including as Bishop of the Moreland 6th Ward, beginning in 1988. At the time of his passing, he was serving as a temple worker in the Pocatello, Idaho Temple, and as Patriarch of the Blackfoot, Idaho Northwest Stake. John found great joy in attending the temple and performing sacred ordinances on behalf of his ancestors. So for those of you who are unaware, in the LDS faith, when we go to those big, beautiful white buildings, when we go there, we are doing service for our ancestors. It's a very sacred, special place because the veil is very thin. He especially treasured the opportunities to serve with the youth and to work alongside his fellow temple workers. His deepest desire was to serve the Lord throughout his life on earth and then be called to continue that service in heaven.
I found an article online.
My brother Christian, he's a financial guy in Idaho Falls, where we grew up in Idaho, and I'm still not sure kind of how this came about or who reached out exactly, but he was interviewed for an article in the Idaho State Journal, which is a Pocatello newspaper, because my dad operated a furniture store in Idaho Falls, Pocatello.
He's a pillar of the community.
Yeah, so they wanted to do a little story on him.
Here are the excerpts that I pulled from that article. Christian said, most people that had a relationship with him, they knew him as a teacher because he either taught them in seminary or taught them in church. He loved to learn. He was a ferocious reader. Up until the very end, he was ordering and reading books, and he was always researching things. His work ethic was unbelievable. He was one of those people that made everybody you knew a little bit better and a little more fearless, especially to children like me. Anytime you were down and out, Dad was there to reassure you, to pick you up, dust you off, and help you. He just wanted to be useful. The article concludes, for those who knew him best, like his son Christian Moon, he exemplified service to others. Faith and family were paramount to Moon. Very beautiful little article.
We already kind of talked about this, and we'll whiz through this. And then it'll be good because I won't have to go too deeply into detail, and you can double check with your sister, Allison, whether or not this was even correct. But typically, when I have a guest on, they either know a little bit about this person, they know a lot about this person, and want to know if there's anything else, or it's a roulette choice, and they're just like, I don't know, I'm feeling like, want to know more about this person. We already kind of talked about this with you, where there was a lot of work that was kind of more recently done. So going as far back on the moon line, what do you think you know about them?
Oh man, I mean, we knew basically that my dad fit into this line of moons that, yeah, came very early on into the colonizing of America, British colonies and statehood, early republic, Revolutionary War period. So Allison had kind of done enough research and DNA stuff to know like he fits into this moon line somewhere. We just weren't really sure about the connecting pieces, all of it yet, right? But Kyle, my husband Kyle, had a conference in Philadelphia. This was several years ago. I mean, I think I was pregnant with our youngest at the time. I went out there and spent a few days with him. And my sister was like, oh, make sure you go to this church because there's this Quaker church in Philadelphia. And one of our Moon family was a, parishioner there. And, like all this stuff.
Heck, yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
yeah, it was really.
So you guys do know a lot about it then. So I tried to pull, because I was like, you're like, do I? I tried to pull out some specifics that maybe you've seen, maybe it would be a refresher, but you may know everything I'm about to show you. You may
I
know
mean,
some of it.
my sister, probably me. I don't know. I'm hit and miss.
If it does ring any bells, definitely say so.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do how it started on the moon line from when I approached it on Family Search specifically. I know a lot of people, especially who are doing it more actively, will pay for Ancestry or other sources,
Yeah.
which can get very pricey. That's why this is a focus on how to use just Family Search so that it's accessible to anyone and everyone. So for specifically on Family Search, there was a lot of work that was done. And what I've done to it is I did combine several people that were very clear repeats, like same documents were tagged for them, same, like it was enough where I was very comfortable combining those profiles, which strengthens profiles. I strengthened a couple different profiles, added memories to those profiles so that people knew not to repeat those profiles. Like, yes, you can add.
This is the same person. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just like more records added. So just some cleanup, but I didn't add anyone to the line.
Well, that's awesome. I didn't know that you were going to do all that. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
That's
That's kind of what I like to go in and kind of like dust around.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So
that's a lot of time. Like, I appreciate that.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a part of it's just a part of what this podcast is for, is to kind of like help out if I can. We have the generations that we're kind of going to look at are Michelle with all of her kids and her dad, and then John and his family. This brother is still alive.
Yeah.
And then we've got mom and dad, sister. Early moons in the US. We have the moons in America, which is kind of when they drop that E.
Yeah.
And then the British moons.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, before really getting involved with this, like with tracking down all these people that my sister was sending me, I had no idea that the moons had been in America that long. And I feel like they pretty quickly kind of ended up going south.
Yeah.
And there was, a lot of Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and I had never really identified with that, but it's such a big part of my family history. It was cool to learn about that.
There was a document on the oldest, furthest back moon that listed basically him in a bunch of land dealings. And I went through and read it and I transcribed it for those who maybe weren't as technologically savvy, that didn't want to toggle through the pages of the book. So I transcribed it, typed it all out so that you can just go on and read it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. That's so awesome.
Yeah, no, I love it because I'm a history nerd and I like reading that stuff. And I'm like, it's super cool. Your family can probably be traced back if they did stay, and probably if they went elsewhere. But Amounderness and Leland, like Lelandshire, where they're from, it's kind of a newer county in terms of English counties. Newer meaning it was established in like 1060. So that's really far back still. 1060 is pretty young because you have like then the Roman rule. And so for England itself, 1060 is a younger county, meaning those parishes still exist, most of them, or they've been preserved and their books have been preserved, so you can find their records. So you can definitely trace your family further back. Right now, you're just at a wall of that last quote unquote moon. Someone was pretty sure that they weren't a moon. They were named after a farm called Moon. And so they were like, so the father's name won't be Moon. I think that might be wrong just because the farm that they moved on to was named after that. So they named it themselves.
Right,
so
from their
that's
own.
kind of, yeah. So that's kind of the wall that we're at right now with this line. But this is kind of a job description of what they would have done.
This slide is a little bit of background from that document that I was describing to Michelle. The document is titled The Moons of Amounderness and Lelandshire, which we will do a push-in of the maps and locations. So fear not, more explanation incoming. So yeomen, craftsmen, and merchants. In 1500s England, yeomen farmers, no idea if I'm saying that correctly, were a class of independent landowning farmers who were socially between the gentry and the laborers. They were prosperous peasants or small landowners who cultivated their own land either through freehold, copyhold, or leasehold tenure. These farmers played a significant role in rural society, contributing to the agricultural economy and, in some cases, military service. Yeomen occupied a middle rung on the social ladder, below the aristocracy but above peasantry and laborers. They were distinguished by their ownership of land, which gave them a degree of independence not held by serfs. The Black Death, which was from 1347 to 1351, led to a labor shortage, which improved the economic standing of surviving peasants and increased the number of prosperous farmers who could be called yeomen.
And I have no idea like where this is, but you actually lived in England, so that's cool that you know. Okay, here we go. Maps. I love maps.
Yeah, maps again for location. So we've got Ireland over here. This is Wales. And then this is England. And all of this, minus this bottom half of Ireland, is the United Kingdom. So we're just looking at England itself, which this is all of England in this middle map. If you just chop off Wales. Wales is technically its own country, but they don't have their own passports. It's a whole thing. So this little arrow, this red arrow, is pointing to Preston. It is near Liverpool, at the very tip top of Wales, and then inland is Preston. Preston is where we have an LDS temple, except for the fact that it is not in Preston. It's like in Chorley. It's like down here.
Okay, got it.
So it's very far out. So the temple is like over here. We have Main Preston, and then your family is like North Preston.
Oh, cool. I had no idea. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and then all of this, so these are like the zoom out. We're going to zoom in here, the Lancashire administration map. So this is here, the Lancashire administration map. So you have Amounderness and Leland, these green and purple arrows are where your family was from.
So
within that, so you've got Manchester over here, Prescott. So this is kind of like that Preston area with Liverpool, the port of Liverpool over here.
awesome.
So again,
Okay.
it's a zoom in. So another zoom in is into Amounderness. So this area here. So if we zoomed in here, this, and then we've got St. Michael's on Weir. So right here, this is an old map of that area with Preston down here, Amounderness, and St. Michael on Weir. I don't know if I'm saying that right. This is then another push-in map of St. Michael's on Weir, which is where your family is from. Push in. So I've been everywhere around down here, like pretty much from down here down I've been to. So I very just missed Wood Plumpton and Ambrose Hall, which is where your family had land and where
No
the family
way.
home was, which I'm going to show you.
No way. That's awesome.
Oh no, I didn't even include the pictures. Okay, I'll throw it in here, but your family's home is still standing.
No way.
And here are these photos, and they will be a surprise to Michelle when she sees this episode. So, my bad. Sorry about that.
This is more historical context again for our listeners.
The Quakers, or the Religious Society of Friends, were a Christian movement founded in 17th century England by George Fox. They are known for believing that God's presence exists in every person. They call that the inner light, which led them to advocate for pacifism, spiritual equality, including for women, and simple living. Their pacifism and refusal to conform to many social customs of the time led to persecution, causing many to immigrate to North America to escape it and to advocate for religious freedom. The movement began in England in the 1650s when George Fox and others became disillusioned with the formal and traditional practices of the Church of England, which again was already a break-off from the Catholic Church. They sought a more direct and personal spiritual experience with God, believing that each individual had direct interconnection to the divine. So the core beliefs: every person has the capacity to experience the divine directly without the need for clergy or creeds. Quakers refused to participate in war and violence, which is known as their peace testimony. They believed in the spiritual equality of all people, which historically led to their support for abolitionism and women's rights. Their worship services, known as meetings, often included long periods of silence during which anyone felt moved by the Spirit could speak. They refused to take oaths or remove their hats in the presence of authorities, which often led to punishment. So the persecution and immigration. Early Quakers were frequently persecuted for their beliefs and practices. Many Quakers immigrated to North America, particularly to places like Rhode Island and Pennsylvania. Despite their relatively small numbers, Quakers have been active in various social reform movements, including abolition, prison reform, and education. In the early early days of the American colonies, they held significant political influence in places like Pennsylvania and North Carolina. However, their pacifist beliefs led many to step down from governing positions when conflicts arose. So the immigration specific to her family is James Moon and Joan Burgess were married near Bristol, England, and with a family of children were among the early immigrants to settle Pennsylvania, starting with the purchase of James Hill, which was about 125 acres in 1688. Obviously, James Hill was named after himself. So large-scale migration began with the founding of Pennsylvania by William Penn in 1681 as a haven for Quakers and other persecuted groups, leading to significant settlement in the Delaware Valley and other colonies. The ship that carried William Penn and some of the first settlers to Pennsylvania across the Atlantic Ocean in 1682 was called the Welcome. The Welcome departed from Deal, England on August 31st, 1682, and arrived at the mouth of the Delaware River, now Newcastle, Delaware, on October 27th, 1682, completing the Atlantic crossing in 57 days, which was slow by the 17th century standards. Nearly 1/3 of the ship's passengers died of smallpox. King Charles II of England granted Penn ownership of the land in order to pay off a large debt to Penn's father, Admiral Sir William Penn. The younger Penn had first called the area Sylvania, Latin for woods, which the king later changed to Pennsylvania in honor of the elder Penn. One of the first counties of Pennsylvania was named Bucks County, after Buckinghamshire in England, Penn's family seat and hometown of many of the first settlers, which is where the Moons came. Bucks County.
That as far back, quote unquote, first moon, that as far back as we can trace, had a son who came, had a son, several generations, who then decide to come to America. His father was like, that's crazy. You're not going to America. That's wild. He's like, well, I'm a grown man with my own children. I'm going to go to America. He goes to America. And this is all in the diaries that you can read. He goes to America, ends up getting land, doing pretty well, and writing back to his father. And his father's like, oh, it's not so bad. I guess I'll come there too. So he ends up, his father also moves out there with the rest of the siblings. They all come over. This isn't a photo of your family, but this is like early Quaker settlers. This is a painting of the boat or the ship that they came on, which was called the Welcome.
Very cool.
So this is
no way, that's so cool.
This is an inscription, which this is cool because sometimes you can learn more about a line by going through the women, because sometimes the women had more time to keep journals than the men did. Supposedly, Joan Burgess, who was wife of James Moon, brought this like plate over from England when she came. This is her handwriting in her Bible. She was clerk for the Friends monthly meetings, which the Friends is what the Quakers call themselves. She was already pretty educated and then came over and kept journaling about their lives. So a lot of what we know, I guess, is from Joan herself. This is the last will and testament of Big James that first moved to Pennsylvania, and then his parents joined. But you come from James II, basically passing down the land that they got in Pennsylvania, and then they decide to go to Tennessee, and like you said, that travel. And then I highlighted this James because you come from James Jr.
Oh, got it. Okay. I didn't know. I knew kind of general background, but these specifics I didn't know. So this is awesome.
Yeah, it was interesting because it's like the last will, I leave you 1 shilling.
Yeah.
They were very Quaker.
It's crazy to think about that time frame, 1711.
So there's a lot happening. It's kind of just like a snowball of American history, especially when it's like all of American history.
Right.
They came and established what is Bucks County and Yardleyville. They purchased James Hill. And so what they're talking about, this like land and chattel that he's bequeathing onto members of the family, are coming from this particular sect of land. There are maps of like this specific area and where all of the property lines were for what family. I couldn't.
Oh, that's cool.
And you could definitely go and look and find your family. I just didn't have the time to go through it all, and I didn't have the greatest of copies. I just didn't look hard enough yet. So the print was like really small and really pixelated when I was zooming in. But I'm sure you could find that James Hill pretty easily because this is such a highly documented line of your family now.
That's cool.
So that's in Pennsylvania. This is like a historical timeline.
Love it. Drop the E. Oh, yeah.
So this...
Okay. So, yeah. So My my dad knew about Henry, but that was the last moon that he knew of, so
Civil
he
War.
did know his great grandfather. It was the great great grandfather, yeah. They couldn't figure out where Henry came from, and they weren't sure like, is that really his name? Because we can't find any records.
And obviously, again, with the addition of the internet, it made things a lot more accessible if you weren't going to physically go somewhere in person.
Yeah. Wow, look at this. And I love how you have the geography on the bottom. That's so cool.
Well, that's what's cool too. So, for those of you who aren't watching, this is a historical timeline that also, so everything historical is in orangey, burnt orange. And then her timeline, her people are in the cream white color. John specifically is the dark blue color, so 1940 to 2025. And then I have in like another lighter blue color the locations along the timeline, basically tracking the movements of these people from England all the way to Texas, which is funny because you came, like you said, you came back to Texas. You're in Texas now, but these
Yeah,
people were in Texas, then they go to Utah and then Idaho, and then we're back in Texas.
that's so cool. I love all this research that you've done. Thank you.
Well, I mean, it's awesome because it's all public. Like I didn't have to do too much to find all of this. This was mostly, if it wasn't on Family Search, it was on just open access Google. If something was mentioned very briefly on Family Search, I could just do a Google deeper dive of it. And I do love AI for family history because it can quickly gather a bunch of information for you, give you
Yeah.
a good overview, and then you can go to its sources, which is nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow, that's really cool to see it, all laid out like this.
So this is that original Henry I was saying got that tract of land in England in that Aberness area that we looked at. And then this is the James.
Yeah,
This James came over. And this William was
got
like,
it.
you're crazy going to America. And then I'm pretty sure he ends up dying in America because he's like, oh, it sounds pretty great, actually. Because James came over and established himself, got land, was a pillar in the community. I think James the Second like served on the court. Very much a highly researched family grouping, all of this. It's this Henry that is the wall right now, but it's only like the 1500s. So the records definitely exist, and you're definitely going to be able to break down this wall. It may be, for example, I talked to Brother Bumbaugh in our ward about some of his family history stuff. And for example, what his family did, because Brother Bumbaugh is a German speaker of German descent,
Yep.
one of his like extended cousins that he met, I'm pretty sure via Family Search, because they had both done
Cool.
work on the line. So they got connected because you can like email or message profiles through
Yeah,
Family Search. He was like, "Hey, my son is doing an exchange program over there, so I'm gonna go pick him up. And because of this research we do have, I'm gonna go walk around this town and see what I can find." And it was like a town that their family was connected to. And Brother Bumble was like, "Good luck. You don't speak German. Like, I don't know what you're going to be able to find." He ends up finding out what parish the family belonged to. And so when they came back to America, he gave all that information to Brother Bumba, who was able to then write to them in German and get all these documents and extend their family way further back.
that's
So
so cool.
if you can figure out what parish your family was in prior, which might just mean emailing the church because the church is still there and people still attend it. It was really
Awesome.
cool. Like you mentioned, I went to school in Wales. I lived in Wales. I have family also in Wales. And so I did go to my ancestral homeland. The churches that they were baptized in, married in, died and buried in, people are still attending services every Sunday. The records are there. They're now typed
Wow, that's
out.
awesome.
It's so
Hmm.
cool. A lot of times you can't access it, but this is why accessing Family Search through the Family Search centers via the church buildings themselves is so helpful because you can access all of those databases that you would otherwise have to pay for. Even if a church hasn't physically uploaded all of their parish documents, they have, for the most part, a lot of them typed them out for preservation's sake.
Yeah,
They might have even been typed out in like on typewriters, so it's been a while maybe since they've actually been updated again.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you're not necessarily having to go through and transcribe handwriting as much anymore. But
Yeah.
if someone ever, maybe Allison has already broken this wall, but I think that this is a definite wall that can be broken pretty
Yeah.
soon, especially with technology and email. Exciting stuff.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is your homework. In
That's
your insanely busy life, zero rush on this. I will obviously want you to send me a voice memo after for some musings and whatever. But there is not very a part of what I love about history is putting it into context. And as someone who's like a cinephile, loves movies and TV shows, especially historical or historical fiction, I love giving people TV shows that they feel like they can drop their ancestors into and picture
Yeah.
what that life
Yeah.
was like. There isn't any TV shows really about Quakers. I don't know if that's because they're just so darn nice or whatever, it just hasn't been written yet. But there is
It's
a really
not quite
cool,
as exciting.
maybe, but I mean, just reading about this little series that's on Amazon Prime did sound quite exciting. It's not,
That's cool.
I don't know if it's like highly dramatized or what, but it's more it's a documentary. So if you have time, maybe poke around, see if you can watch an episode of this.
Yeah.
It's specifically about the people who came over and established Pennsylvania with William Penn, which your family would
Cool.
have been a part of that. So maybe you'll be name dropped
That would be awesome.
in the show. Yeah. They were, from what I understand, pretty vocal because of their stance on living simply and human rights for all. They were pretty vocal during the women's rights movement and abolition. So some cool
Hmm.
stuff in here.
I just remember in Philadelphia kind of looking at some of these Quaker churches and things, sites about how there was kind of a rift at one point in the Quaker community around the American Revolutionary War because you had definitely traditional Quaker views of nonviolence, no fighting, but there was quite a significant portion of, Quakers there who felt strongly about the cause for independence and wanted to join the military and fight. So
Yeah.
that would be exciting.
If you have time with your kids in preparation for Halloween coming up, if
Yeah.
you want to just play in the background, maybe Coco or the Book of Life. I'm gonna give myself this homework too. I've never seen the Book of Life.
I was gonna say I'm not familiar with the Book of Life. I know Coco, but yeah, not familiar
Yeah,
with this other one.
look, it has Channing Tatum and Zoe Saldana and Diego
Yeah,
Luna. So I'm like, those are big names. One of my friends was like, you keep mentioning Coco in your podcast, but have you
Ofrenda,
ever
yeah.
seen Book of Life? Because it's also really good. But I think some other stuff came out around the same time, so it kind of got eclipsed.
Oh,
But it's similar vibes to Coco, apparently. So I was like, all right,
okay.
talk to Allison, see if she has anything she wants to add, see if she wants to correct anything
Yeah.
you said.
Oh, I'm sure she'll be like, actually.
She's welcome to send me an email or a voice
Hmm.
note. Allison, this is for you. Send me an email or a voice note correcting anything, or if you want to add more information, if you're like, actually, we've broken this wall, or any exciting
Yeah,
anything, please.
yeah,
I would love to add it in when I do the follow up because Thursdays are throwback Thursdays where we do little
yeah.
updates as to maybe
That's cool.
I found. Whenever you have time, send me a voice memo about if there was anything else you learned or any corrections.
Yeah, for sure.
These are my graciases because your dad served in Argentina, I guess now, not Uruguay as much.
Well, it was the Uruguay mission. He was in Uruguay. He was in Argentina. I think he might have even been in Brazil for just a little bit.
Oh my goodness. Because you're from England, it would be thank you, obviously. But your dad served a Spanish speaking mission, so
Yep.
gracias. Because it's Dia de los Muertos month. Like I said, you have tons of workers on this line. Like you mentioned repeatedly, people have been actively hunting this side down. Obviously, legacy.com, Hawker Funeral Home for the obituaries, the Idaho State Journal for the article, genealogical and personal history of Bucks County, Pennsylvania, is where from some of those maps come from. Lots of people have worked on this, and these are the people I can thank by name.
Gracias a usted, right? Gracias a ti. Because it's always just tender to kind of look back and think about my dad and where he came from, where I came from, where my family's coming from. It's this work, this line, this family that just goes on and on and on into eternity. That's amazing to step back and kind of just focus on that and realize every time a child is born into this family, that child's ancestors double every time there's a new generation born, and to think about like all the people that came behind you and stories that they have and the lives that they lived. And it's awesome to be able to take a step back and just kind of remember that and think about that and focus on that, because we're so busy with our daily life that we don't always think about all the backstory of each one of us, you know? So
Yeah.
thank you.
It is so wild because walking around Europe, those graves that are so well taken care of. Well, they take care of them as much as they can. Obviously, like a grave is supposed to be taken care of by family, and then people immigrate and leave, and then it's hundreds of years later. I was walking around these graves that were from the 1500s, 1400s, 1300s, 1200s, and they're still there and still readable. And it's like their country was not even a thought in someone's mind yet.
Yeah.
And the records do exist because people wanted to, money and value and property, they were all super important. And so they were tracked and they did have records. So I think that wall is going to come down here very soon. Thank you so much for letting me have you on. I really appreciate it. And to share your father.
I'm gonna call Allison. Sure, I was right on some things. It was my dad's great grandfather that they were stuck on. They knew about Henry, and actually, that's why our son Henry is named Henry, because we knew that Henry was like the first one in Texas, and then lo and behold, we're in Texas, and we're having our first child in Texas, and it's a boy, so Henry.
That's something I forgot to say is like that family line all reused the same like 5 names.
Yes, a lot of
Over.
names.
I was going to ask you, is that why, Henry? So I'm glad
Yes.
that tied in at the end. Cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Okay. Well, have a good rest of your day and enjoy the nice weather while we have it.
Thank you. Bye. You too, Aliya.
Bye.
Gracias a todos por escuchar. Thank you all for listening. If you are related to this line and want to add more information, email us. Please email us corrections or anything. We would love to read them out in future episodes and feature them on our Throwback Thursday segment, which is completely dedicated to updates from prior episodes. We do have content that comes to you every single day, but Thursdays are literally dedicated to that, okay? So give me the info, correct me. I love it. You're welcome to send that via video or voice note explaining, or you can type it out for me to read. Or, I don't know what that was. All right, going on. Or if you're just on this family line and want to give us a shout out that you learned something or whatever, give us a shout out. Any shock, any disgust, any joy, whatever it is. You're welcome to also send those in. We love it. If you're unrelated, but this podcast still gave you some feelings that you'd like to express, the good, the bad, and the beauty, Like I said, we don't discriminate. Let us know. We love words of affirmation around here. Direct message us across all platforms, but the easiest way to get a hold of us will be through our email, which is connectivecollectivef@gmail.com. That is FH for family history. Connective Collective, FH@gmail.com. And, give us a review if you feel like it. We don't care. We're not looking forward to those at all. We are not sponsored by anyone so far. If you would like to change that, please reach out. And I just want to say we are not sponsored by FamilySearch.org. We literally just want you to understand that you can do this for free. This will remain a free resource that aims to entertain but also inspire anyone to pick up their genealogy journey. We always start with our guests getting connected to FamilySearch.org if they're not already on it. All outside resources are found through messaging others who have added to their ancestors' profile and the rabbit holes that sends us on, or the records on the free websites. If you are ever stuck on Family Search, they have resource centers all over the world that are free for you to access, and we are happy to help you locate one if you feel lost. You will be helped as little or as much as you'd like by a specialist at these centers for free. What I love about these centers, as someone who is a family history veteran, when you access your free, I can't say it enough, free account. If you access your free account from Family Search while physically being in one of these Family Search sites, you get access to all of the awesome but expensive other databases online. because of their partnerships with Family Search. While you may have hit a wall in your genealogy while hunting at home, maybe, just maybe, it's only a curtain. If you want to sponsor us, please don't hesitate to reach out. It would be much appreciated. We love you. Crowdsourcing information is what allows this collective to connect. Gracias and thank you for listening and for being a part of Connective Collective.